This is Joel Berg, Joel Jimenez, coming to you live from the world famous comedy store from the Hollywood Improv.
The Hollywood Improv.
The land of hopes and dreams.
All right, boys.
We're all good to go? Well, then there it is. Where's my camera? My camera's there, the middle one, or the Lumix. That's right. We use name brand cameras here at the Mostly Sorry podcast. Guys, thanks for joining us. Here we are, live from the Hollywood Improv in Hollywood, California. And my guest today, my pal, Ryan J. Ebelt. Let's hear it for Ryan J. Ebelt.
Hi.
All right.
I'm soaking it up.
How's it going? How are you, Ryan?
I'm all right, Joel. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's St. Patrick's Day. I'm not drinking at the moment, so I brought these. I thought it'd be kind of cute. We got these green ginger beers. Everybody's got one. I don't really know. I haven't. Here, let's clink.
Slancha.
Cheers. There you go. What was that?
Slancha.
Is that Irish?
Yes.
Do you speak? Because okay. Ryan J's kind of a quiet guy. You're behind the scenes a lot, but what people don't know is he knows a lot of shit. Is that Gaelic?
Literally, yeah.
Gaelic, or because I've heard it described as two different things, right? I've heard people say they speak Irish, but
Gaelic is a family of languages. There's 3 that are still in existence, which is Irish Gaelic, Scots Gaelic, and a language called Manx, which is from the Isle of Man.
Would you spell that Manx?
Yeah.
I had a buddy he's in a band called The Manx. His name is Zach Zemko, and nice. The Manx. I wonder if that's where they got their name from. What do you think of this setup?
This is very professional.
I know. Wow, you hear that? You know who we have to thank for that? Producer, friend, all around fucking good guy, weekend warrior tennis player, David Deary. David, how are you?
I have a confession to make, guys.
What?
Okay.
Your camera wasn't running. The one you pointed to when you said, "Where's my camera?"
Yeah.
Wasn't
That's
even
okay.
on yet. I don't know what happened, but so there you go.
Well,
I'm
that's
admitting
okay.
it. I'm admitting it right now, and I'm great.
Is this something? Were you saying that because we should start over?
No, not at all. Definitely don't start over. I'm just saying, I make mistakes too.
That's right. Thank God he found.
He's human. He's
But
human
then again,
after all.
you're not Sebastian Maniscalco, and this isn't some extremely, expensive production. You know what I mean?
Sebastian, one of my favorite comedians. First of all,
I know, and very successful.
Very successful.
That's the only reason I mention him, because he would have the money to pay for someone who's extremely much more successful and talented than I am.
Well, I don't know where this is going, but I do know I have a guest here today. I was nervous because we talk a lot.
Yeah.
And this morning I woke up. I'm like, what kind of research should I do for Ryan J? This and that. I'm like, I think we'll be okay. We tend to talk a lot.
That's true.
I'm freaking out right now. I'm having a full-on meltdown. I think the ginger beer has gotten to me. But there's nowhere to go but up when you're this when you're this
it's
low.
A good start. It's
nowhere
a good
to go.
Start on the bottom, make a slow rise.
Is this where this show just falls apart? Do I have a full?
No, this is where the show starts. What are you talking about?
This is what I came here for. I came to destroy your show.
Thank you. That's great. That would be awesome.
Quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
I'll help you out. We always start the show off the same way, Ryan. I don't know if you've ever listened to the show. I usually start the show by asking Joel to give us a little minute rundown of how his mental health is doing. So maybe we should take 1 minute real quick to ask him how his mental health is doing, and maybe even ask you how your mental health is doing, and that'll maybe set off the show. And since Joel doesn't like to organize and prepare.
Okay, all right. I don't.
How's your minute? How's your mental health?
Well, we're gonna get to that right now. Yeah, I don't like to prepare. You know why? Because I fucking hated school. I hate all that shit. I work hard for the things I like. This show, I always just wanted it to be kind of a fun thing.
Right.
And then whenever like research, all that shit is involved, I'm over it, kind of. So yeah, I don't prepare. Back to my mental health. I'm a nervous wreck at all times. I think I'm figuring out slowly that I probably need therapy, and I need to figure that out.
Yeah. No, I'm probably on the same boat.
It's just getting to the point. I'm 34 now, and I've had enough of the worrying. I'm sick of it. Because I worry about nothing, and then
Yeah.
I don't know.
Of course, I can also share. I too hated school.
Yeah.
The funniest thing was, I remember my mom likes to tell this every once in a while. Like, she'd get called in for like the parent-teacher conferences, and it was always hilarious because they're like, Miss Ebelt, he does fine. Like, his grades are fine and whatever, but he always talks about how much he hates school.
Oh, dude, I couldn't stand it. I mean, like, not to get off topic of the mental health. You know what I think it is? We're not used to all these lights. I usually do it in my bedroom. As soon as the lights came on, I felt this thing. I think I'm starting to settle now.
We're gonna break into some show tunes.
Yeah,
later.
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I feel like I hated school from my first day of kindergarten. I was fucking over it. Like, you know, yeah, I don't know what it was. I thought you were gonna say, like, right? Because you've been drawing a very long time, probably from even before you knew what you were doing, right? Yeah. So, like, I picture you drawing your teachers in these crazy situations, with axes in their heads, or their whole family dead in front of them, or whatever it is, and then your teacher finding it and going, Ryan, what the fuck is it? What is this? Calling your parent. Like, Ryan drew me getting with a rocket ship up my ass. It says "fuck Miss Reed," and she's like, "It's super offensive. It's great, but the artistry is incredible. I think he has a future in the arts."
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. You probably should have been the one that was drawing then.
God.
But, yeah.
Did you ever draw your teachers in a fucked up situation?
No.
Damn.
I mean, I would be drawing in class, like the margins of my notebooks would be filled with stuff, but one of my favorites, which I think I still have somewhere, is I did a very nice drawing of Leatherface.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
In the margins of one, and that's probably as violent as ever, and he wasn't killing anybody in class. So
I wish he would have. How old were you when you drew this Leatherface?
That was probably 7th grade, something like that.
So you got busy kind of early with the horror movies.
Oh yeah. No, I love movies from like as a little kid, and the funniest was
you love movies.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. When I was a little kid, I'm old enough that there were only 3 stations, ABC, CBS, and NBC.
I thought those were the 3 stations, A, B, and C.
Yeah, pretty much.
Before the merger.
I actually remember when MTV went on the air. I remember when Fox first started on the air. But the biggest thing was ABC Monday Night at the Movies, which always started at 8 o'clock. Of course, most movies are in an hour and a half. They put about a half hour of commercials in. I always had to go to bed by 9. So there were a bunch of movies, like Young Frankenstein was one, Alien, The Thing. There's a couple of others. But it's like, for years, I had only ever seen half the movie because I had to go to bed.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, I would only know, like, where... And it wasn't until, like, I got older and like we first start going to the video store and stuff like that I finally got to finish all these movies like I had loved as a kid but had no idea where the hell they went after halfway. Like in Alien, I would have to go to bed usually about 5 minutes after the alien comes out of John Hurt's chest.
Oh man, I mean, how do you sleep after that?
Yeah, so you get to see like the big climax. And that's it. And you have no idea what happens.
It would have been a great movie had it ended there, though.
Oh yeah, definitely a cliffhanger.
It just goes, that's over. It's your guess what happens to these.
What happened next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie so much.
Oh yeah. And sadly, yesterday we lost Parker.
Great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah,
That's why we're doing this. It's actually a press conference.
Yapet Kodo, who played Parker.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Those are things you remember that I have no. I wish I held on to that. Like I don't remember. I know Ridley.
Right.
And the cat
Ripley.
Jonesy. That's there you go. Well, there you go.
Her first name is Ellen. Ellen Ripley.
Ellen Ripley. Is that where does that come from? I feel like you probably know it's like a tribute to some.
That actually I don't know. The only thing I can tell you that's a tribute in Alien is that a lot of the stuff in Alien, like finding the spaceship that has the giant skeleton sitting in the pilot chair and all that, is a lot of that was lifted from an Italian horror movie called Planet of the Vampires by Mario Bava.
Okay.
If you watch that movie, which you would enjoy because it's very Twilight Zone-y,
Cool.
and there's certain sequences in it that are like, ooh, when they were putting this together, somebody had definitely seen Planet of the Vampires at some point.
And then Geiger, how do you say it?
Giger.
But so do you think, are you talking story-wise or like art?
Yeah, story-wise,
okay,
like set
gotcha.
pieces and stuff.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if it was the screenwriters or if it was, Ridley Scott or, who it was, but there's definitely a lot of influence from Planet of the Vampires.
I don't feel so dumb anymore because I've just realized where I got the Ridley thing from.
Oh, yeah,
the
Ridley
Dragons.
Scott. Yeah.
That guy knows how to make a fucking movie, man.
Yeah, he's pretty good at it.
What's your favorite Ridley Scott movie?
I would probably end up going Blade Runner.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah, is that something I should watch?
Yeah. I
Berate me, please.
I have not only seen it, I have seen there are 6 or 7 different versions of it, and I think I've seen all but one of them.
Whoa. Too many versions. That's what I'm going to say.
Well, it's a long story, like what happened to it over the years and how it ended up cut and recut.
Is there a version that you would recommend me watching for the first time?
If you were going to watch it for the first time, I would watch the latest, the final cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. I didn't.
And then if you enjoy that enough, then it's worth it to kind of look into the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been meaning to forever. Maybe I'll do that this week, but then that might just be one of those things that I say to get you off my back about it and then never do it.
Well, I think it's promising. See, Joel and I have a long history of me sending him songs that he never listens
I've never listened to any of them, except for the
and then
Dead Milkman one.
last time I sent him a song and immediately made the joke, like, I'm sending you this knowing you'll never listen to it. He immediately replies, you mean the one I just did?
Yeah.
And I even gave him a couple of tests,
which
he was able to respond to.
What was it? Dead Milkman?
Stewart.
Stewart. There you go. See, I don't remember, by Ripley Scott.
Right, by Ridley Scott. And so, and I recommended Repo Man to you.
I did watch that
multiple times over the years, and you finally got around and watched Repo Man.
Yeah, that was cool because I read Keith Morris's book recently, and he talks about being in it and stuff like that. And it was pretty interesting, man. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, we're supposed to write a Repo Man.
Yeah. We're supposed to make we agreed this year we become rich and famous.
Yeah, after a long heated debate, me and Ryan have decided that rich and famous is the way to go.
It seems promising.
Yeah, for sure. David, while I caught you, were you gonna say something? Did you want to?
No, not at all. I was about to drink some of this amazing ginger brew. Thank you so much.
Today's episode brought to you by Reed's all natural. They're not a sponsor, but if they want to be.
Give him a free plug. Go ahead.
Bring it. Guys, craft ginger beer. Reed's. All natural. With only 8,000 grams of sugar.
Use the promo code SORRY.
Exactly. To get nothing.
Actually go into the store and buy a 4-pack of these. And then when you get there to the guy, the cashier, just say sorry. And you'll probably get... 25% off,
something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 25%.
Yeah, I think it's that.
Yell it. You have to say it really loud though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and they only give it to you if you add a racial slur at the end of that.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have to say it in patois.
Oh my God.
All right.
Okay. Well.
Or pidgin English, perhaps.
Pidgin English. Yeah. Do you know how to speak that? I feel like you would know how to speak that.
Well, pidgin English is nothing specific. It's like to different regions.
Are we getting into
Duh.
cancellation territory here?
No.
'Cause
If
You'd have to
we
pull your
started
dick out.
doing it, yes.
wow, it's the pigeons have canceled the Mostly Sorry podcast. There was a rapper named Pigeon John. Do you remember that guy?
Pigeon John's dope as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's
He's
where
probably
the-
around. Like, he's LA rapper.
Yeah, I know one of his DJs.
We could probably find him.
Yeah. Shout
The
out
search for Pigeon John. That's going to be our documentary.
There you go. Him and Rodriguez could do a concert in South Africa.
Sixto, yeah.
I don't know. You know. Yeah. Go ahead. You were gonna.
I was gonna say only if we can get a band called Death on the.
Oh, a band called. They're good, man. I like them a lot. I just watched their Amoeba, like What's in My Bag. Do you ever watch those?
It's been a while. Yeah, I've seen a couple. Speaking of which, when are they supposed to open the new one?
I don't. Wait, is there a new Amoeba?
Yeah.
Where? Same
It's
location?
it's on Hollywood Boulevard somewhere.
Whoa.
I saw them post about that they had found a new location and were setting it up and whatever, but I haven't seen anything about what the opening date
be
is.
crazy if they opened up in the old Tower Records building.
That would actually be, considering all its. The most hilarious thing to me about that is like they shut down the old Tower Records building, and the only thing it's been used for is as a fake Tower Records store in like 2 or 3 different movies.
Man, yeah, I miss Amoeba. That place was I have some like pretty vivid memories of being really, really high in there, and all you can hear is like the clickety clack of people shopping, like
Right,
all the
yeah.
CDs and stuff, and just remember it being sort of overwhelming. Are you
Oh, yeah.
trapped over there? Sorry. Gotcha. Guys, this is a living, breathing club. There's stuff going on.
There's activity.
There's activity. People say LA's shut down. I say, yeah, kind of, but also there's activity.
There is activity.
That's what I've heard.
No, look, I had a handful of friends when the first couple of years I lived out here.
Well, now you're bragging.
What, that I had friends or that I live out here?
Both.
Oh, and like I would take them to Amoeba. To your point, and it was always funny because it's like I just kind of watch them like once you walk past the registers like into the store, and you could see like the stairs going up, and you could see that there was the whole back room and whatever, and just watch them like. And most of them, it's like we would be in there for about like 5 minutes because they're like it was too overwhelming,
It's a
and
lot.
they were just ready to go right back out again.
Man, I wish they were open because I just got a record player and now like I have to. Sometimes I want something like that day.
Right? Yeah.
And you
yeah.
can't anymore. You have to like whatever. I mean, whatever. I order off Amazon and shit like that. But sometimes maybe I want like a used copy because I don't want to pay $50 for some.
Yeah. No, that you reminded me of 2 things. One was like watching like the vinyl return, because it's like I would always like pick up stuff. Like I was never a vinyl collector, but it's like, but if it was something I really liked and I saw like a nice used copy of it that wasn't expensive, like I'd pick it up, and then almost all of it got destroyed in a famous apartment flood I
Oh,
had.
yeah, I heard about that.
But the funniest is like as
you
it's-
pissed your pants, right? And then
Oh
you
yeah,
flooded your
yeah.
apartment.
when they had to call. We were in a tsunami zone, and
Now you're canceled.
but but like this friend of mine started getting into it, and it was hilarious because he hits me up because what he really wanted was a copy of the Rolling Stones' "Sticky Fingers," which is the one, the Warhol picture of like the close up of the crotch,
Okay.
like in jeans, like black jeans.
Is that the one with Beast of Burden on it?
No, bitch is on there.
Whoa. We don't say that anymore.
We're firing off.
Yeah.
But it's a close up of this guy's crotch in black jeans, and if you get an original copy of it, there's a zipper.
That's right. I've heard of that.
And if you undo
yeah.
the zipper, you can take the front of the album cover off.
Okay.
And it's the same guy like in his underwear underneath.
Yeah.
So like he wanted one of those, but obviously they're harder to find and whatever. And he was saying it's like yeah, man, I only wanted to spend like so much. It's like, but they're going for like $60, $70 or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And the irony is if you'd have bought it 5 years ago, it would have been $6 or $7.
Yeah. Man, that just reminded me, what a crazy, you remember when it was like a thing in movies where like the guy would like cut a hole in the popcorn and like that was like a funny joke? Because just immediately, just me and you, right? If we were friends and you had that Rolling Stones album with the zipper, I cut a hole behind the zipper and you open it and just get a face full of the berg, you know. But I wouldn't do that. We don't recommend any of that. I just think it's crazy that was like a thing and like a trope in movies.
Oh yeah. Well, what was it? Because I just sent somebody the trailer for we got into talking about something about Tom Hanks and like wholesome and all this stuff. So I sent them the trailer for Bachelor Party.
Okay.
Like his only like raunchy comedy.
Yeah.
And that's a famous scene.
That's where he sucks his own dick, right?
Well, no, even better. They
better than that.
His wife to be and her friends end up at this strip club, and somebody pays one of the Chippendale guys to go out there, and basically has his dick in a hot dog bun, and you get to watch the future mother-in-law awkwardly sitting there trying to pull this thing off the tray. Yeah. That. So to your point.
Wow.
How about Animal House, one of the quote-unquote greatest comedies of all time?
Uh-huh.
There's a scene where the chick's passed out, and he has this debate with himself if he should fuck her or not.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Classic.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy the shit, you know. I mean, you know, Jesus.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where to go. It's funny because like I feel like I dance around these sort of things so much because I feel like any explanation I can like truly say what I feel is like above my pay grade. Like I can't
articulate.
Right. That's it. I couldn't even articulate that. What the fuck? But yeah, I'm trying to, you know, whatever. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Anyway, see, I'm hot under the collar.
You gotta relax, bro. I would tell you this every episode. You gotta just chill.
I know. I'm trying. I'm doing.
It seems like everything's smooth, and you're like, by the way, guys, I want you to know it's not working out for me.
You know why? I'm telling you, if it's mentionable, it's manageable. I've said that before. I think that one of my biggest, like whenever I'm having a panic attack, one of the things that helps the most is telling someone else that I'm having it.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And it's funny because like people, my whole life, they tell me like I'm an oversharer. Or, like you didn't have to say that, you know. But I want to get to the point where I don't care. Like I'm still just gonna say it if people have a fucking problem with it.
But there's a difference between having a panic attack, having serious mental issues, and then also, and I'm not criticizing you, but like, you know, being an entertainer and understanding your mental tics, you know. I used to like fuck with the mic stand, and I'm sure you've seen this from comedians a lot that are beginners or like, you know, not very good. Put the mic in the stand, take it out, adjust it, hold the mic stand, wrap the cable. Like, you know, you do these nervous tics. Yeah. And they're bad. They look bad. They distract people from paying attention to your comedy. So I'm just saying, like, you're taking yourself out of the interview by speeding up your thought process.
You know
like
what?
that.
That's okay. That's okay with me.
It is.
It is
okay. It is okay.
So Ryan,
talk to me.
No, I don't know. I got a bunch of. I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Right.
I mean, feel free to move on as well. I'm not. It's like, you know, it's no big deal.
No, I guess my rebellious side always wants to. Anything somebody tells me not to do, I want to do it more. So whether or not it's right, like I still, like now you're like, oh, like everything. Anyway, never mind.
The only thing I'm telling you to do, I'm not telling you to not do something. I'm telling you to do something. Just calm down. Just be calm and do the show. That's what I'm telling you to do.
All right, hold on. Let's take a moment here, and we're back in it. Here we.
By the way, the Amoeba is at Hollywood and Argyle, right at the Hollywood Vine station.
Okay.
There's the big Pantages Theater there.
Yeah.
Right. There's a CVS. I think it's across from the CVS. Or maybe in that building.
Are they
there's
open?
There's a couple new buildings right there.
Yeah.
No, they're not open, I don't think, yet.
No. Yeah, I haven't seen anything. Yeah, no updates.
Huh.
Right. It's close to my house, so I'll let you know when it's open. I'll go buy some DVDs.
You know what's fun about not drinking sometimes is when you derail something, you can't even blame it on the fact that you were wasted.
Uh-huh.
And I'm fully sober right now, and I just want to say, other than a sugar buzz from this delicious craft ginger beer, I did that, and now we're gonna try to get right back into it.
I could edit it out. That's the funny thing, Joel.
No, I
You're
like
making a huge
it. I
deal
leave
out
it
of
in.
Like,
People want the raw
but I'm
stuff.
just saying, it's
you.
like you like again. You keep going back to it. You
I'm
could
telling
just
you,
you could just move on.
Nope, not doing it.
Joel Jimenez, a man wrestling with his anxiety.
Oh my god!
You got to see Blade
I know.
Runner though. I mean, I can't believe that.
I gotta get on it. What have you watched any movies this week, Ryan? That
I put on. It's one of my favorite movies to put on in the background. The Quick and the Dead.
Okay.
Sam Raimi.
okay, that's a Western.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen it. God, there's so many things I haven't seen. There's so many movies that like people have been recommending for years that I haven't seen. What's that movie with the dope ass poster that we always talk about? Something about like Satan. It's got like an upside down cross on the cover.
Oh, Day of the Beast.
Yeah, that's right. What is that,
Dia de la
Spanish?
Bestia, yeah.
And what's the storyline to that again?
So it's by a very interesting guy. His name's Alex de la Iglesias.
Alex of the Church.
And he worked for, if I recall correctly, he worked for Almodovar.
Okay.
You know, he was a huge Spanish director,
Okay.
like Atame, what is it, Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. And
Okay,
like,
I remember
you
Tie
know,
Me Up, Tie Me Down.
yeah,
I used to show that on IFC. There's a scene
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the girl winds up this like
scuba diver.
the scuba diver.
that
That's all.
they only what it always made me laugh because they only ever had those fucking things at airport gift shops.
Okay. I used to see them at Cost Plus World Market when I was a kid.
Okay, yeah.
And I always like, but I remember like, I would catch that shit on IFC and a couple times got lucky to turn it on right before that scene.
Right,
and-
yeah. Masturbation via scuba diver, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, now that you say it that way.
so Iglesias worked for Almodovar, like if I recall correctly, and then he started making his own movies, and I believe his first one was Acción Mutante, which was about this like group of disabled space pirates.
Okay. Inclusive, very inclusive.
Like all of his stuff is way out there.
We're
and
not canceled anymore.
and,
All right.
and it's so much fun. And then Day of the Beast. So it's about a priest like this, and who figures out when and where the Antichrist is going to be born, and he decides he's going to sell his soul to Satan so that he can stop the end of the world. It's a comedy.
Okay.
So he ends up going to Madrid, and he comes up with this whole plan. Like he ends up teaming up with a guy who works in a heavy metal record shop to kidnap this TV psychic guy to help sell his soul. It's amazing, Joel.
Okay, I got a lot of questions.
It's one of the
If
best
he knows where
movies.
the Antichrist is gonna be born, why not just go there?
Well, no. Like he knows the city. Like he knows it's going to be in Madrid somewhere.
Okay.
But he needs to sell his soul to get all the details. And the best part is because he's been this he's been a priest, you know, almost all his life, and like very innocent and like country, like whatever. He realizes like at the beginning like that he has to be evil. Because like Satan's never gonna buy this, this priest's not gonna sell his soul. Like he's not. So he starts like he consciously will remember to like do bad stuff.
Oh my god.
So like at one point he's like walking through a parking garage and he like, oh yeah, evil, and he reaches in his pocket and pulls out his keys and just starts keying all the cars.
He's a scorned lover.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic movie.
Have you ever had your your card keyed by an ex or somebody angry?
No, fortunately. The worst I suffer is like, I don't know why, I'm like a magnet for door dingers.
Okay.
People just love like throwing their doors.
It's actually door dingas. We can't say dingers anymore. We're not trying to get canceled here at the.
Are you going to talk about your boy Pepe Le Pew? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, we can move into that. Pepe Le Pew definitely was aggressive.
yeah.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that, Ryan? What do you think about the cancellation of Pepe Le Pew?
Well,
Also, first of all, not a real person, so you can't really cancel a cartoon
no.
character.
Well, someone created it though.
yeah,
and-
he was an invention of Chuck Jones,
Yeah, so somebody had to.
famed director, animation director, and he was based on a bunch of old movie French Lotharios, basically like Maurice Chevalier. And there's another guy, I can't think of his name, that Pepe's more literally borrowed from. I mean, my thoughts on it, and again, you may not be canceled, but maybe I'll end up canceling myself.
I feel like at this point, David should just go, don't say it.
I'm actually curious.
Okay.
Well, part of it is, I mean, obviously, like I said, most people today have no idea who the hell Chevalier is.
Obviously.
And if you did, you would cancel him. I mean, one of his most famous songs, which you may have heard of, like it gets referenced everywhere.
Don't do it. No,
is Thank Heaven for Little Girls.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You're going to clean your ears after that one, Joel.
And so, but the thing is, what I don't understand is the belief that it feeds into rape culture. Because he's very, yes, he's very aggressive.
You mean Pepe Le Pew?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
And no one should behave that way. But I don't think anybody watches. He never wins. It's like he never succeeds with what he's doing. So it's not as though it's giving a pot like, yeah, if you act like this, the ladies are gonna love you.
Yeah.
I mean, not to mention it's never gonna work because he's trying to seduce a cat who he thinks is another skunk.
Yeah.
So, it's I don't know. It on one end, I somewhat understand it. I mean, I understand letting it go by the wayside. The one thing I can't stand that they do a lot of times with those old cartoons is they'll start cutting them up. You know, like I always thought it was hilarious. Cartoon Network for years had the Tex Avery Hour. And Tex Avery, Bob Clampett, and Chuck Jones were probably the big three, like the holy trinity of that era of animation. And they would do this like Tex Avery Hour, and these 7-8 minute cartoons would be cut down to like 2 minutes. I mean, just cut to ribbons because there's a lot of objectionable stuff in Tex, in some of his stuff. But the thing is, it's like, it is what it is. Like, either show it or don't. You know, it's like, it's fine if you want to put it to the wayside or maybe just make it available to the people. Like, one of the funniest ones is, if I recall correctly, was Whoopi Goldberg is actually a huge animation collector and whatever, and she's actually fought for some of the stuff that's been banned to be made available. Like you don't have to put it on TV anymore, but it's like, but to the people who are interested in that, like, you know, at least make. I mean, it's kind of like the whole thing, because of course the big one, which I think is probably the oldest, that was Song of the South.
Yeah.
Which I think was what? It was 1983 or something like that, was the last time it ever played in theaters.
Yeah. It's not like available anywhere either, right? I'm sure it's on YouTube. Yeah.
For years, one of the first big, sort of back to like the the first edition of Sticky Fingers. One of the first big collectible items that was super popular on eBay, like when eBay first started, was a Japanese Laserdisc of Song of the South.
Dang. Like
collectors would buy, and what a lot of them would do as well is Laserdiscs you could copy. There was no copy protect on them, so people would get the Japanese Laserdisc of it. Now all of them had Japanese subtitles, like you couldn't turn it off, but they would take it and they would just run off dubs, like for people who wanted, and so if you went to like comic book conventions and like toy stuff, like you would see, you know, there would always be people with like a bunch of Japanese TV shows, like Ultraman and all that kind of stuff. Dude,
there was an awesome one at the shrine that I used to go to that you could get all kinds of like Japanese death match, like wrestling stuff. And
those guys made a mint, you know, like they would pay the like $50-$60 to like get that Laserdisc and have it shipped over, and then we just run off copies for people who wanted it. Now again, it's like you don't need to put it on Disney Plus, like but to pretend it doesn't exist, it's like people know it exists. It's like
I guess that it also goes. I mean, this is a bigger topic in general. Like it speaks to. There's a few different avenues I'm thinking right now. It's like, first off, the weight falls upon the parent. I think at that point to like, you know, I wouldn't show that to my kids but you have that sort of, you know, the same thing with the PMRC. We've talked about that too. Like, just the parental advisory stuff with the CDs and just sort of being aware of what your kids are taking in. I think is probably step one.
Sure.
And then the second thing is, you know, art and art censorship, and like where does censorship because I'm also not one of these guys, like I don't think that you know, I don't think that it's like a bad thing to maybe like revise and look back, not revise, but to look back at certain things
Right.
and be like,
Yes.
hey, that wasn't cool, right? Like that
Right.
shit's, we can all be like, Song of the South is fucking kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But
That's not censorship, though.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. No, so I'm
Right.
trying.
People have to get the definition of censorship is when the government steps in.
Yes.
The PMRC, that was the government. You know, you shouldn't have Senate hearings about should people be able to listen to fuck the police or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, the reason I'm saying that is to clearly. Yeah, I know.
But for a company to say, I don't know, Pepe Le Pew, it's a little bit like outdated.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't find it. That's fine.
Yeah,
that
of
was
course.
what was so, what I've gotten so tired about, like with all the, obviously, the Dr. Seuss stuff. It's like same thing. The publisher's going, these books aren't selling. If you look at the list, like I had heard of some of them, but that's only because it's like I used to work at a Barnes and Noble. Like that's the only reason I knew 3 or 4 out of the
bragging,
out of the
huh?
5 or 6.
It could be that the publisher is putting all this stuff out because the books are probably selling better than they've ever sold before.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
Nothing blew up like 2 Live Crew when they were like being censored. You know what I mean? When
Well,
they
every
were on
CD
the-
I wanted had the sticker on it.
Sure.
I wanted it more. Yeah.
I actually took the sticker off of some and put it onto ones I
Whoa,
wanted.
you're badass,
just so
dude.
It looked like I was I was on the
Cool.
edge.
You're like, this is Christian rock. What do we? I mean,
Striper.
Striper,
be honest,
yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
the
they-
Bible should have a parental advisory.
To-
sticker
The
on it.
original one, yeah.
The hell, yes, it
Yeah.
should. To be fair, though, David, Striper did have "To Hell with the Devil."
that's
That was pretty edgy stuff at the time.
And I don't mean to put you in a corner, but can you give us a little bit of "To Hell with the Devil"? Or at
tried-
least do you remember any of the lyrics? Because I can
mean,
hear,
I
like,
wanna
"Just
say
say
that's
it to
about
hell
it.
with the devil."
Just shout at the devil.
I was about
I know.
to say, I'm trying to think of.
To hell with the devil.
No, yeah, that's
Hell.
Okay.
the first thing that entered my mind. Like David started singing it before I could, because that's the first thing was "Shout at the
Yeah,
Devil,"
for sure.
only with the shittier Striper lyrics.
I mean, it's hard to believe that someone would think of Motley Crue before Striper, but here we are, man. Whatever.
Yeah.
We're
I'm
bad
sorry.
Christians.
You were on a roll and I cut you off. You were saying something about.
Ryan, what other? Because you're in this world. What other banned cartoons are there out there? I mean, is Crumb? Is Robert Crumb?
Well, I got a question. I didn't really know what happened.
But he's
with,
edgy, right?
With the Dr. Seuss thing. What was going on?
Oh,
with
that was.
I
Oh,
see
okay.
it, but I don't read it.
So anyway, like the book, like those it was a handful of titles that weren't selling, and that had racially insensitive. And that's the thing. I mean, I have at home. Somebody bought it for me years ago. It was Dr. Seuss's.
As long as the eggs and ham aren't black.
I'm a little iffy on green, but black. No, they.
Hop on pop. As long as he's not Mexican.
But they.
One fish, two fish, green fish.
I mean, pretty much. That's pretty much, yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
So like I've got this. It's a collection of his early editorial cartoons he used to do, and whoa, Nelly! Like I mean, it's an eye opener.
Yeah.
Because of course, growing up, I only knew Cat in the Hat, all the same stuff, Grinch, all that. But the thing was, it's like he rejected a lot of that stuff later in life. One of the ones that they took out of print, he actually revised some of the drawings like 30 years ago, because the original edition he considered like, that not a good call. So he, while he was still alive, revised some of it. And it's like, and they just decided like, you know what? They're not selling. They've got this insensitive material in them. Like, we'll just quietly retire them. And, of course, it got picked up. And, cancel Dr. Seuss. It's like, no, nobody's taking Cat in the Hat out of print. Nobody's taking the Grinch out of print.
Just the goose and the noose. It's out.
Yeah.
It's out of here.
This is our most. Who'd have thought that this would be the craziest episode with Ryan J?
Not a bad thing to say.
If you
The
want
goose and the
to,
noose.
you want to get into band stuff, I mean.
Well, no, it's interesting because I know Robert Crumb is he does all that like 60s like sex stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's probably labeled as adult cartoons though, right?
Yes,
That's probably why it's not. I wouldn't say it's flying under the radar, but it's not getting canceled because it's sold in adult bookshops, right?
Well, he was when he originally came out. It was what was known as underground comics, Like there were a handful of oddly enough, Leonardo DiCaprio's dad wrote a lot of underground comics. I have a couple that his dad wrote, and it's got his name in the credits in the front. And it was all indie stuff, so it wasn't like they just did the cartoon, The Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers. Like that was a book from the 60s that, again, it was counterculture. It was kind of like...
it's like Cheech and Chong,
Yeah, it was
right?
like Cheech and Chong in comic book form, basically. And there was a spin-off from it, which was the one I first found as a kid, called Fat Freddy's Cat. Fat Freddy was one of the Furry Freak Brothers, and it was a whole sideline where they just followed his pet. And so Crumb was a part of that scene. And so, yeah, that was more selling like directly to the like counterculture, like hippie market and like whatever else. And then over time, he kind of became more mainstream just by exposure. I mean, just by years, like that had been out there for so many years. And of course, what helped him too was Ralph Bakshi. Even though he hates it, Crumb hates the movie. You know, Bakshi makes Fritz the Cat, which was Fritz was one of Crumb's characters. Bakshi makes the first X-rated animated movie. Well, it wasn't the first one. The first one that actually played in theaters. Mm-hmm. As humans do, we make porn out of everything immediately, from cave paintings on. There were, dirty cartoons before
I was always wondering why those cave paintings were so sticky.
Right? Okay, no. It's like,
So Fritz the Cat, it's an animated X-rated movie.
Yeah.
There's fucking in it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What kind of fucking? We talking...
It's a cat.
It's mostly cat-on-cat action. Yeah.
Wow. So it just sounds really annoying. You can't sleep at night because it's going on.
Like, do people jerk off to that, or is it just like entertaining?
Well, now
I've never seen. You've seen it, obviously, right?
Yeah. I've seen all of Bakshi's stuff.
Don't pan below the waist right now, Rob.
But originally, I would say that it was more for entertainment.
Right.
It was more for like a maturity thing. What has changed now, what's much more prevalent now, is hentai.
Yeah.
You know, the dirty version of anime. That is more expressly made for the purpose of masturbation. Yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting. What a specific fetish, right? Because I think that the fetish itself loans itself to the animated style, right? Like, because basically most things that you can find in a hentai, you could find in a real video. I mean, you can find anything really in porn.
Yeah, it's just exaggerated. Well, I mean, that's what's funny. Cause
I guess, exaggerated features, certain like, whatever.
Because Dan Savage, Savage Love.
I know the name for sure. I know Savage Garden too.
Yeah.
Dan Savage, he's like he used to be like Dear Abby or...
Yeah, it was a sex advice column.
He was a sex advice column. Very funny guy.
And it was in the Village Voice for years and years, and it was in the LA Weekly and
San
whatever.
Francisco Chronicle.
Yeah,
and
then it made it online.
Okay.
And he does a podcast with it. And what's funny is, when he gets asked about porn and like, how people perform it, watching porn for ideas for your own bedroom, as he goes, the way he puts it, it's sort of funny, like tying it back into hentai, is he calls porn kabuki sex.
Huh. Yeah.
Because it's performance based. It's like what they're doing is not necessarily going to be the best or the most pleasurable. It looks good on camera.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, I mean, I would say because hentai, it's like can take it farther and get more ridiculous because you're animating it.
Yeah.
So you can.
Whoa, there's a dragon.
Yeah. And even that, because the one everybody always laughs about is the tentacle porn.
Yeah, I knew it.
But the thing is, it's like that goes all the way back to Japanese prince. Because there's a lot of like really like sexual.
Prince. Japan had a prince too.
Japan. Yeah. He drove he drove a little red Honda.
Okay,
instead of
and we're back to canceled. All right. Sorry.
Too loud.
I'm
sorry. Shit.
Sorry.
Got excited about that.
But printmaking was one of their primary art forms, and there were a lot of very dirty, like fun, weird, erotic prints.
And I like that you said fun.
And they because some of them. You have to look into it. It's a whole bizarre end of art history. But what's fun is, they started doing like the tentacle, like you weren't allowed. and then the government would step in. You're not allowed to do it. Anyway, so octopus sex became like a whole thing. And just kind of took on a life of its own. It's worth looking into.
And why,
it's a whole weird...
Why octopus? Is it...
I assume because it's got the multiple, it's...
The arms?
Yeah.
It's like very... Like phallic symbols almost?
And a bunch
Weird.
of them. All at once. Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
Okay. I'm getting a sign. Sorry, producer David Deary is flashing.
What do you think it means?
I don't know. I haven't been on stage in a while. Thanks for bringing that up.
What do you think it means?
This was my best set. 10 minutes? Did we start at 3?
I held up 10 fingers. Yeah, I put...
Oh, I thought you were doing like tentacles. Like, this is tentacle porn.
Ese pulpo es extraordinariamente grande.
And he's canceled again. You can't do that. Just kidding.
¿Dónde está la playa?
Well, you're canceled. It's that way. That's how you're supposed to
shit.
point to the beach, right? With muscles.
I was just saying,
I just said that's a big octopus. I don't know why I'm in trouble.
I guess art has probably been censored since modern society, right? I mean,
oh yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a painter who was specifically hired to paint, and it became his nickname. Like, was like something he was Italian, il something, like the drapery, because he was hired to go through and paint loincloths and stuff on Michelangelo's the most famous, the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah,
the guy had to go through and like paint things over
in the Sistine. Wow, what a nerd.
But I mean, it's like, and it wasn't his fault, but he ended up like getting this like shitty like name where he was called like the Drapery or something like that. Like that became his nickname. But it was because the church hired him to do it, because like, oh, this Michelangelo shit, it's a little too wild. We need to cover this up.
It's interesting because the same people think, God doesn't make mistakes. And then what's more godly than the naked body if it's, if man was
if we're made in his image, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if God's wearing a loincloth. I need to hire somebody to do that with all my old Kill Tony photos. Paint a loincloth over my cock.
Yeah, but in some cases they'd have to give you like the Misfits devil lock for the
for the
unicorn.
Yeah, for sure. Man.
Because I just saw somebody posted a clip of that the other day of you coming out with the unicorn.
Yeah, that was in Australia. It's kind of a trip to revisit those videos and like be like, damn, we just like the wildness of it all. But anyway, I feel like 10 minutes. I feel like I did a lot of talking on my end. I want to hear more from you, Ryan.
What? Well, but about what? If you give me a topic, see, I'm much better at that.
While we're on the topic of art, I mean, I don't know. What are some of like, I don't know. Let's see. We always go movies. It's funny because whenever we're like on the phone or when I butt into your lives, I'm really great.
Uh-huh.
And then now that I have you across from me, you'd think I would have had it all together.
Right.
Oh, wait, I'm doing it again, aren't I?
Of course, that's where we originally discussed like just doing this at a picnic table.
Yeah, we have done that.
Of course, we wouldn't have been able to do that here with the wind lately.
I think too, like, anyway, I don't know where to,
back to me in the studio.
Yeah, back to you in the studio. That's what I should have said. But you were painting that thing the other night on your live with King Kong. How are like your, I know most of the stuff a lot of the stuff you do is like Kill Tony based or like the prints and stuff like that.
Right.
Do you have any plans to like start putting together another like book with your own stuff that isn't?
Yeah, it's been, I mean, that was the thing. It's like the pandemic, like 2020 shutting everything down was actually a huge kick in the teeth, because I had, as long as like the show was going well and I'm making merch for them and like that, so it's like I have steady income, show's doing well, I'm having fun doing the show. They're, when you guys would go on the road and all that kind of stuff, it was great. And then when all of that died, and of course, I was doing posters for other people and some album covers and some merch and like whatever. And it's like, so that was all steady. and everything was good, and it's like, and it was allowing me to kind of get back to doing my own stuff and really focus on, you know, what I wanted to do, and, you know, and trying to pull together some of my own projects. And then, of course, all of that dies all at once. Everything's shut down, everything. And even, you know, a few months later, kind of get back to doing the show, but you can't go anywhere and nobody can do anything. And, you know, everybody out there is like, they don't have any money and whatever else. Now, of course, what helped keep me afloat during all this was that the fans were hiring me to do stuff, and like hiring me to do birthday gifts and, you know, do portraits of people. Or
by the way, the one was it probably Gouache that you did of Pat was awesome.
Well, thank you.
Dude,
thank you.
It's I got not emotional seeing it, but it's a trip to see, because he's been one of my friends for years. So like to see his likeness like that was like, I don't know. I love the colors you picked and stuff. It was really great.
Yeah, and that was so nice. Like his sister asked me to do something for him. You know, kind of, you know, inspire him and encourage him, you know, some performance again, and you know, like and, you know, to kind of draw on his past. And she knew, you know, and I in my emails with her, I was telling her, you know, like when I first started on the show, you know, I would sit there as a warm up. I would sit there and doodle Pat, like while he was doing the warm up show.
Consensually.
So I had you know, I had to go dig them out. Like I had one of the old sketchbooks that just had a bunch of like these like random sketches of like silly shit and Pat in the middle, because I would just sit there and draw him while he was doing it. So it was kind of fun, like going back and like looking at that again and trying to like pull together a portrait of him out of that, and just based on what I knew from like the different, you know, hanging out with him over the years, whatever, before and after the show, and talking to him and stuff, and, you know, the kind of different facets and the different, you know, like you know, that he and I used to talk about like film noir all the time, because he loves all that film noir stuff. And so anyway, yeah,
it had like feeling to it. It wasn't, you know, I mean, it's fun. I'm trying to stop qualifying anytime that I'm about to say something artsy or whatever, because I don't want to come off as like foofy or like, oh, like art. But there is a difference of, you know, when you look at a certain thing and it moves you, whatever it is, right? Like some people don't like Basquiat's or whatever, but like, and that maybe, so I don't know, but and that's that X factor shit of like, I don't know why something affects me, but it does.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's the medium or the what you use to paint, but there's definitely some sort of like spirit to it, you know. Most of the things that you do with that, was that gouache?
It's mixed media, but I mean the bulk of it, yeah.
Would you explain what gouache is? Because I remember. I know, but
Joel, you are obsessed with gouache.
I know. Well, it's weird because you said it's like kind of volatile, right? It's not the easiest thing to use to paint, or it dries up, right? And then like
volatile in the sense of difficult, like angry, not as in will explode.
No. That's what I mean. Like
no, it's very temperamental. Okay, so gouache, it's basically the same as watercolor in a sense. You use water with it, but it's thick, so it comes, whereas watercolor is translucent. You can see the paper through it still. I mean, unless you really build up the layers, you can see the paper through it. It's very light, whereas gouache, it's the same stuff, but it's opaque. So when you put it down, it's like it's very flat and it's very opaque. And when it's dry, like you don't blend it a whole lot. You just kind of like lay it on and then you go over the top of it.
Yeah.
But if you're not careful, you have to watch the water really, really specifically, because once it gets wet, it turns right back into paint. So you end up like smearing everything around, or, you know, it's like if you're trying to do the highlight on the side of somebody's face, you know, and you've already got the skin tone in there, but then you do the highlight. If there's too much water, then the white just ends up picking up, you know, whatever skin tone you put down, and it just turns into that skin tone again. So you have to keep going over it.
And what got you started with that, using that? Because to me, that sounds like a heart attack.
It's the look of it. It's got a very unique look. Like in water media, it's the only thing that's kind of comparable to oil paint.
It does have a really specific, like, you know.
The only difference is, like, whereas oil paint's very glossy in a lot of ways, because it has oil in it, gouache is very matte. It's very flat. It's got a very specific look to it, and I don't know. There's something about it that's very like you were saying, like on a personal level. I can't exactly put my finger on what it is. It's like, but I enjoy how it ends up looking, and of course, a lot of the stuff I love, like a lot of the old like '60s, movie posters and print advertising from like the '50s and '60s and stuff was done in gouache.
Yeah.
Because it's so matte, it photographs very easily, and so it was very easy to reprint it. And so that's where it was kind of at its height. Now it's kind of a lost. Like most people don't work at it that much anymore. But anyway, for me, it's like for water media, it's like I like the look of it. Like I like how it comes off because it's got this very graphic quality to it, where it just like it kind of jumps off the page.
Is that's what you used for the Pat thing?
A lot
you
of
said
it.
It's mixed. Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean,
there's something super like very like human about it, which is a weird. There's like a warmth to it, I guess, and it does remind me of like those old like Fistful of Dollars posters and stuff like that. Yeah, and I don't know what it is. Do you think that part of it is like somewhere deep inside you enjoy the struggle of using it? Because I've heard Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr. He talks about his guitars, like he likes them to be hard to play on because he likes that sort of struggle. Do you think that there is a bit of that maybe?
Yeah, no, there is like a certain reward factor where it's like you fought with it. Like in some cases, like you sit there, you keep working it, and it's not coming, or you keep like too much water on the brush, and you keep lifting the paint, and it keeps reactivating, and you're smearing it around and whatever, and then you finally nail it. There could be something very like, holy shit, it works! Like it finally worked.
And then you gotta fucking step away.
Yeah.
God, yeah, that's something me and you have talked about, like knowing when to walk away from something you're doing.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've thought I was going to add something extra and I just ruined the whole fucking thing?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was painting this bass drum head one time and I was like, oh, it needs a little thing here. It did it. And then I was like, here we go. Became a whole thing of like, covering it up, fixing it again.
No, that was absolutely one of the best lessons I learned. Like, I didn't take many art classes. I mean, I'm mostly self-taught. But in the handful of ones like I did, what I ended up with was like good mentors, like people who did it, who taught me stuff as I went on a more practical level than actually taking a class. But I did take an oil painting class, and that was one of the best lessons I learned was my teacher saying, it's like, know when to stop. Like, know when to stop. What's funny is I find a lot of people's work today is very underdeveloped. It's like, no, you should spend a little more time on that and work it more and really try and bring something out of it.
You mean as a whole, like their body of work, not like specific one?
No, in some cases specific pieces, but yes, in a lot of cases where it's like it's kind of slapdash and rushed. Because of the instant nature of a lot of things, a lot of people think that like immediate, spontaneous, whatever I do in this second and get it down on the paper, like that's what everything should be. And in some cases that's true. You do something like that and you can nail it right away and walk away and you've created a beautiful piece. But that doesn't apply to everything. And there's certain things where I look at them, like I'll look at somebody's portfolio or sketchbook or whatever, and it's like if you went back and you spent a little more time with this and drew out some of this, like not everything, it's like you don't have to keep working it, but there's certain things if you developed them more. But anyway, but on the opposite end, you can also like it's funny because then, but that's more with traditional stuff. With digital stuff. And I'm not like a digital snob. It's like there's a lot of people who are like traditionally based who are, digital.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, I don't have any, but the problem I have with a lot of digital stuff is it's way overworked. Like because you can keep undo, redo, undo, redo, undo, redo, do, redo, redo, undo, 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 redo, redo. Like a lot of their stuff's, like especially in drawing, you'll look at something and you can tell that is 800 lines Frankenstein together. Like no one did a solid line on the back of that guy's head. Like that is 800 lines where it's like, oh, they erased a little here and then added a little and then erased a little, and then and shit just looks dead because it's beaten to death. It's so overworked. It's just beaten to death. But what my painting teacher taught me was like know when to stop, and he meant it from both directions. Like, know how long to spend to really develop something, but then also know it's like you've gotten it to this point. If you are happy with it, stop.
Yeah.
Because if you keep going and you mess something up, you will never, and especially in oil paint, this is really true, you will never get it back to where you had it, that you were happy with it.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I was going to compare that to music a little bit, where like, well, just any sort of digital thing, I think, and I have a problem with this, is if I have too many options, I'll never choose a thing.
Oh, yeah.
So the more you strip away stuff, the sometimes the more creative you can get, and then the more, I don't know. Yeah, I'll obsess over, I have I have projects on GarageBand that I've been trying to put out for a year now because I can do so many vocal takes.
You can keep fucking with it. And like, that's even the thing, because you'll run into that with music. It's like where there's music that you can literally listen to and say, this is overproduced. And it's like, you kept adding more layers, you kept adding this, you kept adding that, you kept redoing this. Oh, we should do that guitar part one more time, and like whatever. And it's like, yeah, now this song is just lifeless.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't stop fucking with it.
Phil Spector had Johnny Ramone famously play like I think it was Rock and Roll Radio, the opening chord to that like 200 times.
Right.
And it's just like, at a certain point, what are we doing here?
Yeah. You're never going to get any more out of this.
But the same thing with that 800 lines thing. You know how many like albums that come out that are just, vocal takes cut and pasted, and I'm guilty of it too, man. I just did this thing recently and I couldn't sing I had written the song. It was my first time like writing stuff on guitar, really. So I had written everything so high, like like down on the neck, and couldn't vocally do it. Which now I know that people use capos, like figure out a way to do it. But so I had to really struggle sort of like piecing it together, so it's good, but also, you hope that you capture the energy of like some sort of solid through line.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's funny, and everybody does it to some degree, and it's like, it's nothing you should ever feel guilty about. Like, there's a printing company called IDW, and they started putting out these things called artist editions, where they would find the original comic book pages, from old, mostly older stuff. Now they've started printing some newer ones, and in some of them they would actually have transparencies, because the art would actually have transparencies laid over it, where the artist would go back in and like want to change a panel. And even on some of them, it's like they'll have white out, like, because it's taking the original pages and rescanning them and then printing them at the size they were created at. And so it's great, because it's like you get to look at it and you go, okay, these guys I loved who were great illustrators, here's where they took, they emptied an entire bottle of white out onto this page, fixing stuff.
Yeah.
It's like this guy's been drawing Batman for 20 years, and he still had this page where it just didn't work, and he reworked the shit out of it to make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like everybody does it. It's like you're going to have those.
Man, yeah, but I guess, knowing when to walk away is super important. It's hard. It takes time,
Well, and I can't remember who it was. I want to say it's Delacroix, but it's like, famous quote about painting, which was like, what is it? Great paintings like are never finished. They're just abandoned. It's like you could just
like
sit
children.
there. Yeah, it's like you could just sit there and keep working it. But like all right, I can't do it anymore. I don't want to look at this.
Yeah, man. That's to sort of like tie a little bow on this. I mean, it's like that's sort of where I'm at with like my anxiety and stuff like that too. It's like almost I've been sort of working on this painting for so long now with my anxiety that now I'm just like, I'm sick of it, and I need to figure out a way to walk away from it. So I need to like figure out a way to get I don't know, coping fucking techniques or something to finally step away and be like, just, I don't know, but same thing with the obsessing over a painting. It's like obsessing over life, obsessing over everything. It's like at a certain point, you just gotta fucking I mean, I'm not religious, but the whole like let go, let God sort of thing of like letting just I don't want to have this thing on me.
Oh
anymore.
yeah. Because I mean, whether you're trying to control it or not, the world's gonna move on.
Yeah,
like the world's gonna do whatever it's going to do, and the people in your life, it's like you have no control over them either. So it's like they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Yeah, someone said like you can only control your thoughts. I think that's it, right? Like you the only thing you have control over is your thoughts. And
even
your
that,
actions, I guess.
and even that, there's some evidence too that like, like the bacteria in your system, have a ridiculous amount of that are you, but there's more bacteria in you than there is you.
Yeah,
and there is some indication that some of it does dictate. Like if you make a lot of like shitty eating choices, there's ample evidence that it's like.
I feel attacked when you said that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, but there's that to some degree, it's like it gets into the whole like free will debate of like how much do you really have, and and how much are you controlled by like just animal instinct and like impulse, and and the problem that you brought up religion, and it's like, and that's what's so funny is that split where. Even though we now know, that addiction is, in almost all cases, is hardwired. You have the addictive gene, and that even if you don't end up on drugs, there ends up being some other kind of mania in your life that you just do compulsively. And it's just like, like how they talk about like Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, yeah, they stop drinking and almost all become smokers.
Yeah.
And it's like, and smoking becomes the new thing they're addicted to.
Yeah.
It's like, but we still haven't moved. But even though we know all that, and there's so much ample evidence for it, we still haven't moved past this, religious idea that it's a failing. That it's some kind of like you're only addicted to this stuff because you're morally weak.
Yeah, or just mentally weak or whatever. Yeah. It's like, there is a definite thing of that. Like it's the person's fault. There's still shame with like any sort of thing like that. Yeah.
And what's so funny is to carry that farther, like and what's made that so dangerous is how much we have that with mental health. Even still, like even though, I mean, it's like everybody will joke about everybody knows who Sigmund Freud was and Jung, and they'll make jokes about it and like, oh, get on lay down on the analyst couch or like whatever. But there's still just this ridiculous stigma to the fact that it's like, people have problems. Like, it can help to work. And even though, even like comedy, like Pete Holmes will like talk totally openly about, like therapy and like all the different stuff he's done. And even though there's lots of, like entertainers and stuff like that who will say, it's like, I do this process. Like I had these problems. I had anxiety. I had whatever. People still treat it like, oh, well, that just happens to them.
Yeah.
It's like they can have all the same problems, won't ever confront it. It's like, oh no, that's something that happens to those people.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas it's like if everybody would just get on board, it's like, no, it's a part of your life. It's part of your health. It's part of how you function. And what makes the biggest difference to me today is it's like if you think about, 200 years ago, like you'll notice, like they always talk about, like if you go to third world countries, in like the poorest parts, they don't have allergies. They don't have a lot of mental health problems. They don't have a lot of, and it's like...
They also don't wear Yeezys,
Well, and they don't... they definitely don't wear... But that so much of it is, it's like, if you're concentrating on surviving... And so, it's like you go back 200 or more years, it's like, we had wars all the time. It's like, you had to be making shit by hand all the time. You didn't have time for all this stuff. So that now that we've gotten to a point where you're not having to worry about that all the day... It's like allergies is your system needs something to fight. It doesn't have anything to fight, and it picks this. It picks pollen. It picks shellfish. It picks
peanuts.
Yeah, and it starts eating itself. And it's like it's because it doesn't. It's like it's because you're not living in a squalid fucking cave anymore, like having to fight for your very existence. So
I think about that with food issues a lot, where
that's where a lot of it stems from.
Now I have food everywhere, where before I would have had to like hunt for it, and so now
because we're so hardwired, like sugar, like that's why the problems like sugar is so bad, is because we are hardwired to love it, because it used to be very scarce, like in its pure form, it used to be very scarce, whereas now It's everywhere
I know. Shout out
all the
to
time.
Reed's
to
ginger
Reed's
beer.
ginger beer. But and it's the same thing with mental health, that it's like you can't have a bunch of neuroses again if you're having to deal with shit all the time, and we're just not. And it's something that we need to start dealing with more, and that it's okay.
Yeah, it's weird because my circle of friends, it's definitely feels not as stigmatized around my circle of friends, but
Sure.
But I'm sure, yeah, I'm living in a bubble as far as that goes, because comedians in general and artists are very like, I don't know, kind of hard on sleeve type of people, I guess.
Right.
And but I think overall, there still is like a bit of that, which is why I even like this, like the things that like David's like, you don't have to say that, you don't have to this and that. It's like,
right.
I almost feel like I know that I don't have to, but it's almost like I'm just trying to show it in all its facets. Like even me doing stuff like that to me is like, I don't know, maybe somebody will see it and be like, I do the same shit and be like, hey, because one of the biggest things is not feeling alone, and that sort of thing. But
no, that's the, it's funny how much of that I run in, that is so much what it is. I mean, it's just like, where they talked about that ended up being the biggest, again, I'm trying to think of how to organize my thoughts best.
Yeah.
Like what's so funny is watching, all this stuff come out now. We're like, oh, everybody's turning gay and trans.
yeah.
And it's like, no, they've always been there, and we know they've been. It's like there's plenty of historical records of people who have been like this for thousands of years. It's like it's part of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's the difference is everybody's not turning into it. It's not becoming a cool new trend or anything. It's because it's become destigmatized. More people are willing if they feel like they're not on a normal part of the gender spectrum or the normal. It's like they're more willing to say it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you're just being made aware of it. And it's the same thing with all of this stuff. I mean,
police
the same
violence, all of that. It's like it's all been going on. Now they're just being videotaped.
It's like now, because they even said, I mean, that's been an old sociological test where they say in court that's one of the biggest problems is that in different cases, especially cases against the police, juries are almost always predisposed to go with whatever the police say.
Yeah.
It's authority.
Yeah, for sure.
You've been raised to believe this. It's like they're the good guys and they're, whereas, as we should know, they're human beings like everyone else. And sure, some of them are going to do some bad shit. And it's just like, even your friends and the camaraderie of it, right? Where it's like your friend does something bad, and even though it's bad and he should probably face some consequences for it, because he's your friend, you're still going to stick up for him. I mean, it's like that, it's across the board. That to me is like human nature.
I'll sell out my friends in a second if I have to. If they do something fucked up, you're all fucking dead to me.
He had me locked up and paid my bail just before we came over
exactly.
here.
I could see David over there. He's shaking worse than I do. When we started this thing, I just wanted to, thought we hit some nice peaks, some valleys. I got 2 questions, then we're out of here. Real quick ones. What's the craziest shit you've ever seen me eat? Because we used to go to some late night. We'd always end up at Cantor's, mostly that. What's the most insane amount of food or crazy shit you've seen me eat?
It was probably the first one where it's like after having a full large sandwich of some sort and a full plate of fries and all the stuff with that, we then proceeded to order waffles with ice cream on them.
That's right.
A full plate of large fluffy Belgian waffles with 3 or 4 big scoops of vanilla ice cream on them.
I love it. So, that was one of my favorite things to do. But, maybe when this is over, we'll get to do that.
That's a fun night.
Also, any recommendations before we're out of here for anybody out there?
Recommendations of like what?
Whatever, anything.
Well, you got to narrow it down.
Movies, art
too much
stuff,
stuff.
Whatever.
Well, yeah, I would recommend if you can find it, Day of the Beast. That's Alex de la Iglesias. That's a fantastic movie.
I gotta get on that too. I gotta watch it.
Yeah, you of everybody who, I don't know, a band called Death, either the documentary or the album, Death's album. That's a fantastic album. I was re-listening to it the other day. I don't know what else.
That was great. I think those are two good ones.
Those are two good ones. All right.
David's scaring me over there. Looks like he's gonna have a heart attack.
Do I?
No, I'm just kidding. I just well, guys.
David's pretty high strung.
There it is. It took me a while to sort of shake the lights off and kind of get into. I felt like towards the end of this, I felt like we finally linked up. We were making music.
On a roll. We got on a roll.
We were fucking vocally fucking. Anyway, this has been Mostly Sorry, live from the Hollywood Improv. And we love you guys. Shout out to all the sponsors. Thank you to the Patreon people. Thank you, David, for putting all this shindig together.
Thank you, Hot Bob's Hot Sauce.
Hot Bob's Hot Sauce, Dye Dye Company, Luca Clothing.
The Hollywood Improv.
Shout out, Hollywood Improv.
Yeah.
Audie's Originals. I think that's how you say it. They sent me this cool hat. I love it.
Ryan J. Ebelt.
Ryan J. Ebelt. Guys, go to his website. Buy all his shit. Please support us. We need it. Give us your money. And that's it. Till next time. Yeah.
Gunshots on a gun, underwater bait. Guilt trip.